What happens when Hollywood's golden girls stop playing roles and start living their worst ones? Is fame a dream factory or a beautifully lit trap? They had money mansions and red carpets rolled out like royalty, yet somehow ended up trading couture for court dates. This isn't scandal for fun. It's Hollywood eating its own with a smile. Number 1. Amanda Bynes. Once upon a time, Amanda Bynes was Hollywood's safest bet. A comedic prodigy with perfect timing, a clean image, and the rare ability to make everyone laugh without trying too hard. Nickelodeon crowned her early studios lined up, and the future looked effortless. She wasn't just successful, she was protected. Until she wasn't. Fame hit young fast and without a safety manual. Somewhere between sitcom applause and tabloid obsession, Amanda began slipping off script. What followed wasn't a scandal arc. It was a public unraveling. DUI arrests, reckless behavior, bizarre incidents that felt less shocking than heartbreaking. The internet laughed. Headlines mocked. Hollywood watched from a safe distance, pretending confusion. The irony was brutal. The girl who once played chaos for laughs became chaos in real life, and suddenly everyone decided she was crazy instead of overwhelmed. Short stints in jail and rehab followed, but the real turning point came when she was placed under a conservatorship. Not a punishment, an emergency break. Her freedom paused because her mind needed saving. Amanda wasn't chasing attention. She was losing control while the world live-streamed it. Fame didn't ruin her, fame exposed what no one wanted to slow down and fix. Mental illness doesn't look cute under paparazzi flash, and Hollywood has never been patient with broken child stars. Years later, she stepped away from acting, choosing fashion recovery and anonymity over applause. No big comeback tour, no redemption montage, just survival. And maybe that's the most honest ending. Amanda Bynes didn't fall because she failed. She fell because the system that built her never taught her how to land. In Hollywood, childhood is a role, and once the show ends, no one tells you who you're supposed to be next. Number 2. Lindsay Lohan. There was a time when Lindsay Lohan wasn't just famous, she was Hollywood. A child prodigy with perfect timing, a mischievous smile and box office magic, she seemed engineered for stardom. Studios trusted her. Audiences adored her. The future looked like an endless red carpet. And then Hollywood did what it does best. It turned the spotlight up too high and waited for the burn. Fame arrived before adulthood, and discipline never caught up. What started as a fun party girl image quickly spiraled into DUI arrests, reckless driving, missed court dates, and probation violations. Soon, Lindsay wasn't promoting movies, she was promoting mugshots. Every court appearance became a media event, every relapse a punchline. Hollywood didn't intervene. It refreshed the page. Her brief stints in jail were less shocking than the way the industry watched with popcorn-level enthusiasm. A woman who once earned millions per film now struggled with the simplest luxury of all, staying out of a cell. Rehab, relapse, court, repeat. Like a bad sequel, no one stopped greenlighting. And here's the irony: when Lindsay finally tried to get better, Hollywood had already moved on. New It girls replaced her before the ink on the arrest reports dried. The same system that crowned her a princess quietly labeled her a cautionary tale. Today, she's still standing, rebuilding, reinventing, surviving. But the damage lingers. Lindsay Lohan didn't just go to jail. She became proof that in Hollywood, falling isn't the tragedy. Falling publicly is. And once the audience gets bored of watching you rise, they're always ready to watch you crash. Number 3. Lori Loughlin. For decades, Lori Loughlin was Hollywood's definition of safe. smiling, polite, scandal-free. The kind of actress parents trusted and networks loved. She wasn't just famous, she was familiar. America didn't see her as a star. It saw her as family. Which is exactly why the fall hit so hard. No explosions, no addiction spiral, just privilege quietly exposed under fluorescent courtroom lights. When the college admissions scandal broke, it felt less like celebrity news and more like betrayal. This wasn't a drunken mistake or a tabloid meltdown. This was calculated. Money changing hands, doors opening that were supposed to stay shut. Suddenly, Aunt Becky wasn't bringing cookies, she was bringing wire fraud charges. The irony was brutal. A woman whose career was built on wholesome values now stood accused of teaching her kids the most un-American lesson of all: the rules are optional if you're rich enough. Cameras followed her into court, where she smiled less and aged faster. No dramatic outbursts, no tears for ratings, just quiet humiliation, the kind that seeps into every headline. Her prison sentence was short, but the cultural sentence was permanent. Hollywood backed away politely, like guests pretending not to notice the smell. Endorsements vanished. Roles evaporated. The image she spent a lifetime polishing cracked in one news cycle. Inside prison reports said she kept to herself, reading, praying, reflecting. Outside, the audience had already decided. This wasn't about jail time. It was about illusion. The illusion that fame equals goodness, that money equals merit, that smiling long enough makes you innocent. Lori Loughlin didn't fall screaming. She fell quietly. And somehow, that made the impact louder. In Hollywood, even angels get handcuffed, especially when they start believing they're untouchable. Number 4. Felicity Huffman. Felicity Huffman was never supposed to be that headline. She was the serious one, the actress with range, restraint, and credibility. While others chased fame, she chased performances. Awards, respect, longevity. The kind of career that whispers, "I did it the right way." Which made her fall all the more jarring, because it wasn't reckless, loud, or glamorous. It was quiet, privileged, and painfully human. When her name surfaced in the college admissions scandal, the shock wasn't anger, it was confusion. Felicity, not the party girl, not the tabloid magnate, just a mother who crossed a line she thought she could quietly erase with a check. She paid to alter her daughter's SAT score, then watched her reputation collapse faster than a network pilot. Unlike others, she didn't fight it. No denial tour, no legal gymnastics. She pled guilty, stood in court, and admitted what she did. Cameras captured a woman stripped of Hollywood polish, wearing prison beige instead of red carpet black. Her jail sentence was short, barely enough time to learn the routine, but the humiliation was permanent. The irony stung. Years of discipline undone by one decision, fueled by fear and entitlement. Hollywood didn't reward her honesty with forgiveness. Roles dried up. Silence followed. Respect, once automatic, now came with conditions. Yet there was something unsettlingly real about her fall. No villain arc, no chaos spiral. Just a reminder that privilege doesn't make you evil. It makes you reckless in quieter, more dangerous ways. Felicity Huffman didn't go to jail because she was cruel. She went because she thought the system would bend for her. In the end, prison didn't break her career, Hollywood's memory did. And in a town obsessed with reinvention, her story proves one thing: some mistakes don't explode. They suffocate. Number 5. Winona Ryder. In the 90s, Winona Ryder wasn't just famous, she was untouchable. The unofficial patron saint of outsiders, the girl who made sadness look poetic, and rebellion look intelligent. Directors adored her. Fans worshipped her. She didn't chase Hollywood. Hollywood chased her. Which is why what happened next felt less like a crime and more like a plot twist written by a very dark screenwriter. One quiet afternoon in Beverly Hills, security cameras caught Winona casually walking out of a luxury department store with thousands of dollars in unpaid designer clothes. Not a desperate theft, not survival, just a millionaire stealing things she could buy 10 times over. The headlines exploded. Winona swipe. Hollywood laughed. First, then erased her. The irony was savage. The woman who played fragile, misunderstood souls now stood in court, looking exactly like one pale, exhausted, and completely over it. She was convicted, sentenced to probation, community service, and mandatory counseling. No jail cell, but don't be fooled. Her real sentence was exile. Behind the scandal was a quieter truth. Hollywood hates admitting. Winona wasn't greedy. She was burnt out, medicated emotionally, hollowed after years of nonstop pressure. Fame didn't save her, it isolated her. And when she cracked, the industry that built her image rushed to punish her for breaking character. Roles vanished. Calls stopped. For years, she became a cautionary whisper instead of a leading lady. And then slowly, she returned. Older, wiser, unapologetically human. Her comeback wasn't flashy. It was earned. Winona Ryder never went to prison, but Hollywood locked her out. And when she finally walked back in, she did it without the illusion of perfection. In this town, that might be the bravest role she's ever played. Number 6. Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez was never built to play nice. From the moment she hit the screen, she carried chaos like a superpower muscle attitude and a stare that dared the world to flinch first. Hollywood cast her as the tough girl because she didn't have to pretend. Unfortunately, off-screen, that same fire had a habit of burning everything within reach. While other stars collected awards, Michelle collected mugshots. Multiple DUI arrests, probation violations, and court orders stacked up like bad reviews. She drove fast, drank harder, and seemed convinced the rules were optional, another perk of fame. Eventually, reality slammed the brakes. The woman who played rebels for a living ended up in a jail cell for real. Her time behind bars was short, but the symbolism was loud. Hollywood's fearless warrior had been officially overpowered by the system she thought she could outrun. No stunt doubles, no second takes, just concrete walls and consequences. And here's the twist, she didn't hide from it. No fake tears tour, no misunderstood press releases. She owned it. Michelle later admitted she had anger issues, impulse problems, and a dangerous appetite for self-destruction. The very traits that made her electric on screen nearly torched her life off it. Jail didn't break her, it recalibrated her. Freedom suddenly felt fragile, fame temporary. Unlike many fallen stars, she didn't disappear. She came back sharper, tougher, and oddly calmer. Hollywood welcomed her again, but with different eyes. She wasn't just an action star anymore. She was proof that survival sometimes requires hitting the wall at full speed. Michelle Rodriguez didn't lose her edge in jail. She learned how to aim it. And in a town addicted to controlled chaos, that might be the most dangerous upgrade of all. Number 7. Paris Hilton. Before influencers had strategy meetings and fame came with analytics, Paris Hilton was the algorithm. Blonde, rich, untouchable, and everywhere. She didn't chase attention. Attention chased her in a convoy of paparazzi SUVs, with a flip phone encrusted in diamonds and a catchphrase that sounded harmless enough. Paris sold the world a fantasy money parties and zero consequences. Turns out that last part was a lie. Behind the glitter was a lifestyle built on excess and defiance. Late nights, fast cars, ignored probation terms. Paris treated the law like bad customer service. Eventually, the system stopped laughing. When a judge sentenced her to jail, the image felt unreal. America's favorite heiress in handcuffs, mascara gone, confidence cracking under fluorescent lights. The world didn't blink, it zoomed in. Her jail time was short but culturally explosive. Paparazzi camped outside like it was a movie premiere. Critics called it justice. Fans called it cruel. And Paris. She cried. Not for cameras, but because for the first time the persona she'd perfected couldn't protect her. Jail stripped away the dumb blonde act and revealed what fame had buried: a scared, isolated young woman who'd been performing herself for years. The irony is delicious. Jail didn't end Paris Hilton. It created her second act. After her release, she rewrote the narrative, owning her trauma, exposing abusive reform schools, and quietly turning herself into a business strategist instead of a punchline. The woman once mocked for being empty proved she was anything but. Paris Hilton didn't just go to jail. She escaped a character she'd outgrown. In Hollywood, that might be the rarest flex of all. Number 8. Heather Locklear. For years, Heather Locklear was television perfection with a blonde glow. Primetime royalty. The kind of woman who looked like she woke up flawless and stayed that way through commercial breaks. Shows like Dynasty and Melrose Place didn't just make her famous, they made her a fantasy. America didn't just watch Heather Locklear. It trusted her smile, and that's what made the crash so uncomfortable to witness. Behind the camera-ready composure was a life slowly coming apart. Addiction crept in, quietly wrapped in prescription bottles and private pain. Then came the arrests, DUI charges, domestic disturbances, confrontations with police that felt wildly out of sync with the polished image fans had memorized. Mugshots replaced glamour shots. The smile stayed, but it no longer reached her eyes. Hollywood responded the way it always does when beauty stops behaving: confusion, judgment, silence. The headlines painted her as out of control, but the truth was messier and far less entertaining. Heather wasn't chasing chaos, she was drowning in it. Years of performing perfection left no room for weakness, and when the cracks finally showed, they split wide open. Her time in jail was brief, but it symbolized something deeper. This wasn't the fall of a diva throwing tantrums. It was the collapse of a woman who had been pretending to be fine for decades. Rehab followed. Recovery attempts stacked up. The spotlight dimmed. Hollywood quietly moved on as if embarrassed by its own creation. The irony: when Heather finally became real, raw, vulnerable, visibly human, she stopped being useful to the industry that once adored her. Her story isn't flashy. It's tragic in the quietest way. Proof that the brightest smiles often hide the deepest wounds, and that sometimes jail isn't the punishment. Being forgotten is. Number 9. Farrah Fawcett. Farrah Fawcett wasn't just famous, she was laminated into American culture. That red swimsuit poster, practically a national monument. She was sunshine hair perfection, and the kind of smile that made the country believe everything was going to be fine. Hollywood crowned her an angel, then acted shocked when she proved she was human. Behind the iconic glow was a woman who refused to be managed. Fame came fast, and with it came rebellion. She walked away from Charlie's Angels at the height of its power, challenged contracts, challenged expectations, and eventually challenged the law. When news broke of her arrest following a physical altercation, America froze. Angels weren't supposed to get handcuffed. The crime itself wasn't enormous, but culturally it was seismic. The idea that Farrah Fawcett, America's sweetheart, could lose control shattered the illusion. Her mugshot became a spectacle not because of what she did, but because of who she was supposed to be. Hollywood doesn't mind chaos. It just hates it from its symbols. The press labeled her unstable, difficult, too emotional. But the truth was far less dramatic and far more threatening. Farrah wanted ownership of her life, her career, her image. And in a system built to package women as fantasies, that kind of independence always comes with consequences. She didn't spend long behind bars, but the myth never fully recovered. The flawless poster girl became a woman with edges, anger, and scars, and suddenly she was harder to sell. Yet in her later years, as she faced cancer with raw honesty and courage, the mask finally fell away for good. Farrah Fawcett didn't fall from grace. She stepped out of the cage, and Hollywood never quite forgave her for proving that even icons get tired of pretending. Number 10. Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon was Hollywood's gold standard. Polite, smart, Southern charm with a law degree, at least on screen. She built a career playing women who always won by staying composed, prepared, and 10 steps ahead. America trusted her, which is exactly why one late night in Atlanta felt like a glitch in the simulation. It started harmless enough, a traffic stop. Her husband was driving under the influence and Reese was in the passenger seat, technically innocent, emotionally combustible. Stress, ego, and fame collided in real time. Instead of staying quiet, she challenged the police, questioned authority, and reportedly dropped the most infamous celebrity sentence of the decade. "Do you know my name?" Hollywood heard it loud and clear. The internet never forgot it. Moments later, the woman who played a brilliant lawyer in Legally Blonde was handcuffed for disorderly conduct. No dramatic chase, no jail montage. Just irony served cold under flashing blue lights. Her time in custody was brief, but the damage to her image lingered far longer than the arrest itself. The scandal wasn't about crime, it was about entitlement, about how quickly confidence can curdle into arrogance when cameras follow you everywhere. Reese owned it. She apologized publicly, called her behavior embarrassing, and did something rare in Hollywood she learned. The industry forgave her because it loves redemption arcs, especially clean ones. But Reese didn't bounce back unchanged. That night cracked the illusion of perfection. It reminded her and everyone watching that fame doesn't make you untouchable. It just makes your worst moment go viral. Reese Witherspoon didn't fall from grace. She tripped over it. And the lesson stuck in Hollywood: talent opens doors, but humility keeps them open. Number 11. Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall was never Hollywood's idea of normal, and that was the magic. With her fragile voice, haunted eyes, and offbeat beauty, she didn't fit the mold. She bent it. Directors like Stanley Kubrick turned her sensitivity into cinematic gold, while audiences watched her unravel on screen and called it art. The problem: Shelley didn't get to stop performing when the cameras did. Unlike the flashy celebrity meltdowns Hollywood loves to monetize, Shelley's collapse was quiet, slow, and deeply uncomfortable. Years of emotional isolation, creative pressure, and being pushed past her limits began to blur the line between performance and reality. By the 2000s, reports surfaced of erratic behavior, confusion, disorientation, public disturbances that led to brief police detentions. No crime spree, no scandal tour, just a woman slipping through the cracks. And of course, the tabloids showed up late and loud. The shining star has lost her mind, they implied, because nothing sells better than mocking someone who can't defend herself. Shelley didn't spend long in custody, but the image of her being detained was enough. Hollywood quietly turned away, pretending concern, while offering zero protection. Here's the cruel irony: the industry celebrated her vulnerability when it was profitable, then abandoned her when it became real. Shelley wasn't dangerous. She wasn't rebellious. She was exhausted, mentally fragile, and forgotten by the system that once applauded her suffering as genius. Years later, when she resurfaced in rare interviews, her speech was scattered, her memories fragile, but her kindness remained intact. No bitterness, no rage, just a desire to feel safe again. Shelley Duvall didn't fall from fame in handcuffs. She faded out while the world watched and misunderstood. Her story isn't about jail, it's about neglect. In Hollywood, that's often the harsher sentence. Number 12. Taryn Manning. Taryn Manning always felt like a live wire, unpredictable, electric, impossible to ignore. Hollywood loved her for that. From 8 Mile to Hustle and Flow, she played chaos with conviction. Then came Orange is the New Black, where she portrayed a troubled inmate so convincingly, it almost felt like method acting, taken a little too seriously. Ironically, life soon decided to blur the line between role and reality. Unlike some stars who fall quietly, Taryn unraveled loudly. Alcohol abuse, emotional volatility, public altercations, her struggles played out in headlines instead of therapy rooms. Arrests followed. Assault accusations, restraining orders, DUI charges, one mugshot after another, each one chipping away at her credibility while feeding the same machine that once applauded her raw honesty. The satire writes itself. The actress who made a career portraying instability ended up living it under real fluorescent lights. When she spent time behind bars, it wasn't shocking. It felt disturbingly on-brand. Jail wasn't a plot twist. It was a mirror. And what stared back wasn't a villain, but a woman drowning in untreated pain while being paid to entertain with it. Taryn later admitted that fame didn't save her, it isolated her. Hollywood loved her broken characters, but had no patience for a broken person. Sympathy was conditional. Support was cosmetic. Once the chaos stopped being profitable, the industry stepped back and let gravity do the rest. She tried to rebuild music, smaller roles, fresh starts, but controversy clung to her like a bad reputation refuses to let go. In Hollywood, you can survive scandal, but instability scares people more than crime. Taryn Manning didn't lose herself overnight. She slowly disappeared while everyone watched. Her story isn't about falling from grace, it's about what happens when pain becomes your brand, and no one knows how to love you without it. Number 13. Natasha Lyonne. In the late 90s, Natasha Lyonne was Hollywood's sharpest spark, fast-talking, fearless, and impossible to ignore. She had the kind of charisma that made trouble look charming and rebellion sound intelligent. Films like American Pie and Slums of Beverly Hills painted her as the cool girl who could survive anything. Real life disagreed. Fame hit early, and Natasha didn't glide through it, she crashed. Addiction took the wheel, and by the early 2000s, her life looked less like a career and more like a cautionary documentary. Evictions, hospitalizations, drug-related incidents, property damage, arrests. The same industry that once laughed at her wild energy now whispered that she was too much. When she landed in jail, it wasn't glamorous or shocking. It was inevitable. The joke was over. The party ended. Natasha later admitted that was rock bottom, realizing talent doesn't cancel consequences. Hollywood had already written her off, convinced she was another lost cause with good timing and bad discipline. Then came the long, unphotographed part illness near homelessness, hepatitis, and brutal isolation. No red carpets, no sympathy headlines, just survival. And somehow she made it through, not by erasing the past, but by dragging it into the light and owning every scar. Her comeback wasn't a miracle, it was a confession. Roles like Orange is the New Black and Russian Doll didn't hide her damage. They used it. The wit was darker, the humor sharper, the truth unavoidable. Natasha Lyonne didn't escape her jail cell by pretending it never happened. She carried it with her and turned it into art. In Hollywood, where reinvention usually means denial, that might be the most rebellious move of all.